And welcome back
And
to a
welcome back.
fantasy football podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and as always, my annoying co-host, Chris. There he is. Uh, You've checked into the Mockathon Draft 5 here, so you either are very interested and enjoy our mock drafts, you're finding this channel for the first time, or you happen to be drafting in the 5 or 8 spot, which is where we're going to be drafting from today. So before we jump into the content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification button so you get all the future mock drafts that we have the rest of this week, and then getting yourself prepped for the in-season content that we will be providing to all of you. Yes.
All of it.
All of it. So jumping into the mock draft, again, I'm drafting from the 8 spot. Chris is going to be drafting from the 5. So it's a 12-team standard scoring league. It is a 15-round, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, which is running back, wide receiver, 1 tight end, a defense, and a kicker, and 6 bench spots. Just for those who are interested, we're going to keep that across the board for the rest of our mock drafts. For those who are in half-point PPR, there's going to be some pretty similar draft picks around here. For those who are in full-point PPR, obviously that you would put a lot of wide receivers ahead of a lot of these running backs, but we are not going to be doing that here. So thanks for tuning in. Let's get it kicked off. Team 1, starting off with Jefferson, McCaffrey, Chase, Eckler. Pretty stock and chalk before it gets to you at the 5 spot. This is the tricky spot here. You can do a lot of things for 5.
It isn't. Tyreek Hill's there.
Tyreek Hill, yep. We've said it on the podcast before, and we'll say it again. We both believe Jefferson and Tyreek Hill are the 2 wide receivers in this league that have a chance for 2,000. Period.
Yep.
I know Cooper Kupp could, but the hamstring, who knows if it lingers? If he's fully healthy for the season, he's a 3rd receiver that could possibly do it. Saquon Barkley gets snatched up right in front of me there. And this is what I'm going to say. This is my favorite spot to draft. The 8-9 is to get Travis Kelce. Like, this is my favorite spot to go grab him if you're going to grab him in the first round.
I was going to say do it.
Yeah, because if it's later, it's also a win. If it's earlier than that, look what you're missing out on. And I'm okay missing out on Bijan, and I'm going to get the best player at this position, and that's Travis Kelce. Chubb, Diggs, Bijan, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, again, Josh Jacobs, 2 guys who have news as of today, so they may not be sitting here, just so you know. So think about the Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard may be moving up in your drafts. Josh Jacobs could possibly be here if he is ready for week 1. St. Brown goes at team 10, and CeeDee Lamb, and it's back to me here. I'm going to do something that I really, it's sitting right in front of me, and I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to pair Patrick Mahomes with Travis Kelce.
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm going to take the number 1 target from the number 1 quarterback.
I'm going to do you one better, all right? I'm going to pair Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Oh, so Devontae Adams goes, Derrick Henry goes right in front of Chris, and he takes Waddle to pair. So 2 Miami receivers, both guys were top 10 last year, both 1,000-yard receivers, and they both combined for 15 total or 15 total touchdowns. Tony Pollard goes after him, Garrett Wilson, 2 quarterbacks in Allen and Hurts, Stevenson, Higgins, Andrews, 2nd tight end off the board, and then Devonta Smith. So Chris going a little 0 RB.
I'm going to go Travis Etienne here.
All right, first running back for Etienne. I'm sitting here looking at the ADP board here. You got Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs as the top running backs here. I'm not comfortable with Breece Hall being my RB1. I am comfortable with him in the 3rd round, but if he was my RB2, I'd probably be taking him here. That being said, I also don't trust Jahmyr Gibbs, a rookie, in a shared backfield as my RB1 either. So instead of going either of those guys, I'm going to draft a wide receiver in this position. DK is the highest in ADP. Not going to go there. Debo's the next highest. He's on my bust list. I'm going to go with the sure, tried, true hands of Keenan Allen as my first wide receiver off the board. Breece Hall, Metcalf, Walker go afterwards. Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson run on QBs. Hawkinson, and then, man, I was hoping Mixon would fall to me in that 4th spot. Mixon fell, so I'm going to continue down this road and go 0 RB, and I'm going to go 1 more round, no running back, and pick up Calvin Ridley here.
Son of a biscuit.
Debo Samuel, D-Hop go after you there as well. You're sitting there with Cooper, Aaron Jones, Fields, and Herbert as the next highest guys on ADP.
I think at this point it's no secret I want to go and get Tua, but
you want to literally go for like mega point weeks.
Mega point weeks.
Let's not forget Tua had a 50-point week last year. Tyreek and Waddle both have had 30-point weeks themselves. So if they all hit that 1 week, you get over 100 points between the two of them.
I know, but it's really hard to pass up on Justin Fields at this position. So I'm gonna go and pick him up right here.
So after Fields, Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce, Judy, Cooper, Kamara, Miles a run running backs here. Sanders, McLaurin, Herbert, the other Justin, goes right before you there. And, dude, your guy is still sitting here in the 5th round, constantly sitting just staring at you in the 5th round over and over and over again.
Give me some George Kittle all day, every day in round 5. All day.
If you haven't seen, if Chris wants him in round 5 consistently. All right, so based on that 5th round, this is where I want to attack my running back. But I'm not in love with J.K. Dobbins. He was taken off the PUP list, but we just still don't know what's going on there. You got Cam Akers, Alexander Madison, James Conner. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to say one of those guys is going to fall to me, hopefully, in the next round. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab DJ Moore as my 3rd receiver off the board and be comfortable with my 3 receivers. And
all 3 of those guys go.
All 3 of those guys go. All right. So a true 0 RB here. Down in the 6th round, no running backs. I'm going to have to go running back.
I know, but it's so hard. Like, look at the wide receivers that are sitting there for you.
I know. I understand that.
And Lockett, Brown.
And that's the thing is I could have taken Connor there as my RB1 or Akers and then also went over with Ayuk or Lockett or Hollywood Brown. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a running back here. And I think I'm going to go with David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions. He's the one on this list that I feel most comfortable with, getting early down work in a good offensive line. Darren Waller afterwards, Dalvin Cook, back to Chris with some beautiful wide receivers in front of you.
I got the need, and I got the need for speed. No, it's tough because I like all 3 of these wide receivers right here. I mean, heck, I even like having Christian Kirk. But having Travis Etienne, I'd probably stay away from Kirk. Doubling up on multiple teams. I'll just watch 2 teams the entire year. So I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett and give me some 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns from my flex position.
After you take that, Pitts goes, Swift, Pittman, Pacheco, Ayuk, Rashad White, Watson, and Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to go for my RB2. And I've drafted Javonte Williams in a couple of drafts this year, or this week already. So I'm going to kind of switch it up. So I'm going to go James Cook. I'm not super in love with him, but I do like the workload and I love the offense. So
since Chris passed up on James Cook and this guy did not get taken after Kirk or Prescott, I'm going to go ahead with Javonte Williams as my RB2 and play for the late game. When he comes back, he's going to take over that backfield. Evans, A.J. Dillon, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Tony, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Evan Ingram all go. So big run on receivers there. And now I'm sitting in a position, again, I'm going to be hammering. I got 3 wide receivers. I've got 2 running backs. I still want one more comfortable running back. And I'm going to take something out. I kind of want to go something out of Chris's book here because I don't want him to take his way all the way to the 9th round. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of Khalil Herbert here in the 8th.
You ruined it. You ruined it.
Well,
My team name is Khalil in the 9th.
9th, exactly. And I know your league mates, everybody, because I knew if he made it to the 9th, he would not fall to me because Chris, even though he was 7 people down in this chart, so I go Khalil Herbert, Jordan Addison goes afterwards, and Freiermuth.
That's fine because Zach Charbonnet fell, and I loved me some Zach Charbonnet.
He was the other one I was going. I would have went Charbonnet in hopes that Herbert fell, but
Charbonnet is Chardonnay. Have yourself a weekend.
Zach Charbonnet, Jahan Dotson, Michael Thomas, Traylon Burks, Antonio Gibson, David Njoku, Gabe Davis rounds out the second pick in the 9th round. Jamal Williams, and then Tua right before Chris. But he already took Justin Fields anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. Because I love what fell to me. Because even if Tua didn't get taken, Zay Flowers here in the 9th, love it. So give me some joystick.
So we just switched who we like. We switched who we were picking. So that being said, he went. Quentin Johnson went. Who Quentin Johnson was the guy I was going to pick here in the 9th round. Got sniped right before me. Pew pew. So that being said, I'm going to hinge my bets on this backfield in Denver, and I'm going to take Samaje Perine for the early down role in the season. If Javonte Williams is not ready, as well as if Javonte Williams isn't ready all season, and Samaje Perine takes that backfield as his. Kirk Cousins goes afterwards. Penny, Brian Robinson, who was the other guy I was thinking about there. Lazard, Schultz, Sutton, Damian Harrison, back to me. There's one other guy that I've been drafting here, and it's hard for me to want to pass on this. Like, I really would like to try and get another wide receiver, but I feel more comfortable with the 3 I've got. The other wide receivers on the board here would be Elijah Moore, Jameson Williams, Rashad Bateman. I do like Elijah Moore, and I think he's going to be used a whole lot in that offense. But instead of going that way, I am going to go with one more running back here to feel a little bit more comfortable, and that's going to be, well, you know what? I take that back. There's a couple guys I like a little bit later. I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to take a chance on Elijah Moore here in Cleveland. I think he's going to be used a lot. Talk out of camp is he's having a fantastic camp, and they like him a lot. He's even been used at the backfield on times where Nick Chubb is taking a rest, so I like that. Aaron Rodgers goes afterwards. Devon A-Chain is after that, and back to Chris at the 10-8.
So I'm really in love with my wide receiver core. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tyler Lockett, and Zay Flowers, having those 4 in there to be able to rotate through. I think all 4 of them could be studs. Like, all 4 of them could be 10-plus point guys each week. So I'm going to beef up my my running back position, starting with Jerick McKinnon.
I like that pick there. Rashad Bateman, Dalton Kincaid, Jameson Williams, Sky Moore, Elijah Mitchell. You're going for Raheem Mostert. Chigo Okonkwo, Kendra Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., all before it comes back to you at the 11-5 pick.
No, I typically do not. I really, I don't typically go for the handcuff strategy, but I'm going to handcuff my my running back 1 with Tank Bigsby.
Yeah. I like it. Well, that just leaves me with Raheem Mostert, who's one guy that I don't want to pass on because, again, if you look at the running backs, I've got Montgomery, shared backfield. Javonte Williams coming off injury. Khalil Herbert, he is the first guy in there. Perine shared backfield with Javonte. I want one more guy that I can put out there week after week that's got touchdown potential. And in the high-flying offense of the Miami Dolphins, that's Raheem Mostert. Jacoby Myers, Tyler Boyd, Daniel Jones, Algier, Dulcich, Thielen, Goff, and Rashee Rice. And unlike the last draft where I was taking a defense in the 13th round and I thought about it in the 12th round, I'm not as comfortable with my team, and that's what happens when you take that tight end QB in the first 2 rounds. But I'm okay because I do get those guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue to take best on the board on guys that I like. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I'm getting Romeo Doubs as another wide receiver right here.
No Dobbs about it.
No Dobbs about it. You find myself drafting him in the 12th round every single time. Darnell Mooney afterwards. Devin Singletary drafted after that. Back to Chris at the 12-8.
Yeah, I know. So again, I know I don't like. I'm not handcuffing my own player here, but this is a guy that I really really like. In case anything did happen, is Tajay Spears. And I'm going to go and draft him here because I'm so thin at running back in terms of I don't really have that every week starter other than ETN is my RB1. And so if anything happened to Derrick Henry, then I guarantee myself an RB1 with Tajay Spears.
Yeah, he looked fantastic.
He does.
Jalen Warren goes afterwards. Zeke Elliott. Those, by the way, Warren and Zeke Elliott are the two other people that, if anything happened to the RB1s there, they're immediate RB1s as well.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee, Russell Wilson, Deontay Foreman, Bryce Young, Jonathan Mingo, Sam Laporta, back to Chris at the 13-5.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I can do. In this round, in this, I have 6 running backs on my team at this point, so I think I'm comfortable at this point with all my running backs. I'm gonna take a late round flyer, for late in the season when he does come back, and I'm gonna grab Kyler Murray in case anything did happen to Justin Fields late in the season, that I would have a high end quarterback.
Yeah, I like that. Rondell Moore, Roshan Johnson goes right after that. And I've only got when I look at my roster, I've got Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, and Romeo Doubs. I've got plenty of running backs as well. I'm just in a position where I want to just add one more piece, whether it be a wide receiver or running back. And to me, if I'm going to go with somebody here, I want to go with somebody who's going to have a little bit of upside, and there's not really much running back that's left with upside on this team. It would have been Zamir White. He obviously would have been a lot earlier if Josh Jacobs wasn't coming back. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick with the wide receiver core, and I'm going to go with Nico Collins, the wide receiver 1 in Houston. Big body receiver. I think he has the best chance to lead that team in receiving. And that leads us into the last round after Zay Jones, Gerald Everett, Butker and Tucker, the first 2 kickers off the board. Jordan Love, Jalen Hyatt, rookie for the Giants, goes for team 11, and 2 more kickers and back to me, where I do have to select a defensive kicker. And personally, if Butker, Tucker were still there, I probably would have went with one of those guys. But I do want to try and get a top kicker in this one, and that's going to be Daniel Carlson. 2 more kickers go back to Chris, where he's got a defense or kicker here in the 14th round.
I'll grab Miami's kicker because my Miami team is going to score a lot of points. Not my Miami team. I'm a Jets fan, but the team I drafted is
literally the fantasy Miami.
Yeah, I'm heavily invested into the Miami Dolphins offense, especially.
Just take the defense right here too. No, so 4 kickers go and 4 defenses go before back to Chris here. This last round's going to be
defense so they can face my entire fantasy team twice a year.
Yeah, why not?
At this point, I'm going to take the 49ers defense.
And then sitting here deciding on who I want to take in terms of defense. If you guys want advice on defense, we'd be happy to give it. To me, I still have the Pittsburgh Steelers as one of those top teams out there. I do like the Seahawks a lot because I think they did some things to help their defense as well. Plus, they face only 1 tough divisional opponent and 2 a little bit easier divisional opponents. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, though, because when Watt is healthy, they are an unstoppable force. So Pittsburgh Steelers. Titans, Packers, Rams, Lions to end out the draft. To go back over, I'll let you run down from the 5 spot of what you did, and I'll close it out.
5 spot, the first guys, it was Justin Jefferson, McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, the usual suspects. And then sitting there at the 5 spot, I kind of had my pick of the litter on who I want next, and Tyreek Hill was there, so I went Tyreek Hill. And then swinging back around, there was I was hoping that Derrick Henry might fall to me. Pollard did fall to me, but it's so hard. Like, I know, like, I think a lot of people might be straying away from this. So let's talk about this a little bit. Is grabbing 2 wide receivers on the same team if you have the chance to do so at their ADP or at their value.
But let's talk with what teams that would be though first. Obviously, you did it with Miami here.
Yeah,
Philly's another team that I could see doing it.
Bengals is another team.
Yep.
If you are at the front half of the first round, and you're picking Jamar Chase with your first round pick, and T Higgins is sitting there in the second, and all the other guys are gone. Like, if you're choosing between T Higgins and Devonta Smith, like, don't shy away from T Higgins because he's a teammate. Like, those guys score independently from each other, and that's what I love about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Is there's no Mike Gesicki there anymore. So there's no third option at wide receiver. And there was so many games last year where both of them were over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
and
love
they
Burrow.
score independently from each other. So I'm not shying away. Like the only duo that I probably would stay away from, the top end duo, would be AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Only because we saw in games last year where it was one or the other in terms of the touchdowns, because there's not a lot of passing volume there in terms of the game to game basis. So it's either Devonta Smith is going to have the game or AJ Brown is going to have the game. With the Bengals, there were so many games last year where both Higgins and Chase, and so many games of the Dolphins last year where Hill and Waddle both put up numbers, and you shouldn't shy away from that. And especially when it comes to like pass catching tight ends, like George Kittle's a great example of this. Is why would I shy away from drafting Ayuk? And I think I did this in the fourth mock draft that we did, the one we did previous to this one, where I had Kittle, and then the round after went and drafted Ayuk. They're both going to score independently from each other. And there's no reason why I should be afraid to have multiple guys from the same team, especially if it's an offense that's going to score a lot.
Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson's another one that I like that way too.
Yeah.
So, all right, keep going. So you took Waddle in the second.
So I took Waddle in the second. Then in the third round, got my first running back with Travis Etienne. And then went and locked up my quarterback and tight end in the next two rounds, Justin Fields and George Kittle. I liked having Justin Fields between Waddle. 3 of my first 4 picks can win me weeks. That's my philosophy on it. Then George Kittle. Then I got my wide receiver 3 and Tyler Lockett, which I absolutely love having that as my wide receiver 3 and my flex position. And I wasn't in love with the running backs that were there. So in the 7th round, go and get James Cook, which I'm fine with at my RB2. Followed it up with Zach Charbonnet again. I'm fine with him being my RB2 as well. And then in the 9th round, he's just sitting there, and I don't care that I have 3 wide receivers that are all stacked. Zay Jones is going to be a stud this year. And so I drafted Zay Jones in the 9th round and that was partly in spite because Jono drafted Khalil Herbert in the 8th round and took him away from me. So I drafted his player. Thank you. And then I wanted some in the next 3 picks. I want running back because I needed some depth there. And really, I don't care. Like ETN's going to be my every week starter, and with the wide receiver core that I have, those are going to be my wide receiver 1, 2, and flex play.
They're your money makers.
So yeah, and so I'm looking to just fill one position. So I'm drafting a couple guys for that one position. So I drafted McKinnon, Tank Bigsby, Tajay Spears, and then with my final position player. Because Justin Fields is a runner and he is vulnerable, I went and drafted Kyler Murray to have late season backup in case anything did happen to Justin Fields. Then kicker defense, we don't need to waste time talking about them.
Yeah, and the 8th pick here, Travis Kelce fell to me here, and Pat Mahomes walked his way down to the 2nd round, and it's just too enticing to not take. I mean, yeah, Derrick Henry was still there for me, Devontae Adams. But to get the QB1 from last year, and even if he finishes QB3 this year or QB2, his points are going to be high-end points, and you're taking the top pass catcher for him and pairing him up. So I took Pat Mahomes in the 2nd. Then I decided to punt the running back position because really, to me, in the 3rd round, the only other person I would have taken would have been Joe Mixon. And I just liked the value of Keenan Allen. Mixon got taken right before me in the 4th, so I took my next best option, and that was not Aaron Jones or Dameon Pierce. That was Calvin Ridley. I went pure upside at the receiver position. Then coming back around, since all those running backs were eaten up, I should have went and probably normally would go James Conner right here or Cam Akers as my RB1. But I went for a true 0 RB build here, people, and to see what it looks like. Not only did I 0 RB, I also went doing 0 RB. I did the tight end and quarterback early, so I kind of paired 2 strategies together, and they kind of fit hand in hand sometimes. So I went DJ Moore in the 5th, passed up on the running backs, and came back in the 6th, took my first one in David Montgomery, who that offensive line is fantastic. If he can get half the touchdowns, like I said in one of our previous drafts, half the touchdowns Jamal Williams got last year, he is going to be a great running back for you in an RB2 spot, or in this case, he's my RB1. My money makers are my receiving core, my quarterback, and my tight end. When these guys hit, I'm going to be winning ball games, and all I need is support role from any of these green guys here. So I came back in the 7th, got Javonte Williams. As Chris put it last draft, if he comes back, this is playing for a playoff push and a championship. If he comes back, this guy's going to be my RB1, just the way he plays football. Khalil Herbert, probably more likely going to be an RB2 because when this guy plays, he rips out big home run touchdowns, RB1 finishes here and there. I think he's going to be a stud, and he's in the 8th round. And as Chris has been getting him, Herbert in the 9th all day. And then in the 9th round, I went with the backup to Javonte or the starter to start the season in Denver. It was Samaje Perine. I wanted to hinge my bets with Javonte just in case he's not ready this year. It doesn't look as good, and they split. I do know that maybe Perine has a higher split to start the season. Elijah Moore, who's going to have a fantastic year. I got him in the 10th. I took a shot on him, knowing that I'd be happy with Bigsby, Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, Jerick McKinnon, any of these guys coming up here, or even somebody like Tyler Algier, Jalen Warren, or Zeke Elliott to get another running back. I ended up getting Mostert in the 11th, Romeo in the 12th as I've been getting him, and I like Nico Collins. Like this is free. The fact that he's here, Nico Collins, he could be a every week wide receiver 2 finisher for anybody's team, and the fact that I'm getting him that late, he's to me is one of those guys that's going to actually not get like big boom or bust numbers. He's going to be a consistent receiver for you. He may not give you the boom, but he's not going to give you the bust. He's going to literally sit there and give you 10 to 12 points a week and be happy with it. Whereas obviously my top 3 are the big boom guys. So that's what I rounded out then with kicker defense as usual. So that's the end of our mock draft, Mockathon draft number 5. Thanks for tuning in.
Mockathon.
Draft number 55.
55.
We have one last Mockathon draft coming for you tomorrow, where I'll be drafting from the 6th spot and Chris will be drafting from the 7. Tune in, and in order to get notified when we drop that, click the like and subscribe button, click the little bell to get notified, and it will be a head-to-head battle. I wish we could do like Scorpion and Sub-Zero just facing each other right there.
We've been moving closer and closer.
Yeah.
And here we are, finally.
We have come to the conclusion. So tune in next week. Thanks for tuning in here. Leave a comment if you like what we did and see if you liked who had the better draft of all of them. Obviously, we're experimenting too as well here and showing you what it looks like that you can do from the different positions. Thanks all.